Hey guys, welcome to the monthly watch recap. This is for January 2024. So just me going solo this month, picking out some of the things I've been watching in the world of film and TV. Don't forget to like and comment on this video. Also subscribe if you're new to the channel and you want more. And I began the month with TV on New Year's Day and the second series of the thriller comedy drama The Tourist, starring Jamie Dornan and Danielle MacDonald, two great leads there. This time they uproot to the Jamie Dornan character's hometown of Ireland because he's contacted or supposedly contacted by a relative. So it dips more into his past, his background, and exactly who he is, because of course the first season featured him losing his identity in the Australian outback. I won't say too much, but because I have reviewed it, but I would say I enjoyed this second season. I think it holds up pretty well compared to the first one. It has a little bit of a dip in the middle, but it picks up again near the end. There's some good comedy, some good hijinks with the characters, and it's a pretty solid fun watch throughout, and it's on the BBC iPlayer now. Over on Netflix I've been watching The Brother's Son, starring Oscar-winning Michelle Yeoh, about a Taiwanese family and how the mother is brought in when the father falls ill to look after the family, the sons, and also the business. So I'm going to do a review, so I won't really say much here, but it has been very enjoyable and watchable, and there's been some surprises and subversions, as this clip shows.
Because you only have 1 minute left.
Okay, got this.
Big approach. You try and sell it. A couple of quid, wouldn't you?
For goodness sake, what an absolute escape.
Looking and breaking from everywhere. There it is. It's done.
Oh, that's it, guys. Oh, I'm so wounded.
Sorry, Vegas, but your time is up.
All episodes of The Brother's Son is on Netflix now, and I wouldn't mind a season 2. Look out for my review coming soon. Now, for something a little bit more trashy and retro and 90s, I've been watching casually Melrose Place. So I've been watching it along with the podcast, and I'm on to season 2 now, and that's when the fun really starts.
Thanks for walking me up.
It's my pleasure. It's cool in here. Great fridge. Gives the term ice cold beer whole new meaning.
It's a little late, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. You can install air conditioners in all the apartments.
Eventually. But I don't think now's the time to discuss it.
Why not? I'm a tenant. You're a landlord. My apartment's probably an oven, and yours is much more comfortable.
No.
It worked. I'm interested.
I'm afraid you misunderstood me, Jake. And I think you should go home.
Come on, Amanda. I picked up on the clues. Let's stop playing games.
I don't know what you're implying, but I'm really tired and I want to go to sleep.
Oh.
I meant what I said.
That's from an episode called Hot and Bothered. Subtle, right? And speaking of such things, in the same ballpark, but this time the more teen variety, yes, I've been watching The Car Crash, which is Dawson's Creek Season 1. Boy, it was really rough during that early season. It does get better in Season 2, in my opinion. And there's one or two highlights from Season 1, but there's a lot of super cringe forced drama, of course.
This won the Oscar, didn't it?
Gandhi. Spielberg was robbed. This is before he outgrew his Peter Pan syndrome.
But Gandhi? I mean, why give an Oscar to a movie you can't even sit through?
Thank you. Where are you going?
Oh,
Spend the night.
can't.
Come on, you always spend the night.
Not tonight.
Why not?
I just don't think it's a good idea for me to sleep over anymore, you know?
No, I don't know. Come on, you've been sleeping over since you were 7. It's Saturday night.
Things change, Dawson. Evolve.
What are you talking about?
Sleeping in the same bed was fine when we were kids, but we're 15 now.
Yeah?
We start high school Monday?
Yeah?
And I have breasts.
What?
And you have genitalia.
I've always had genitalia.
But there's more of it.
To kiss on the lips for 10 seconds. Jen!
You said dare. You better do as she says.
Dare you to kiss on the lips for 15 seconds? Dawson Leary.
No way, no.
Basic grow up.
I'll keep the time.
All night, dreaming of you, pretty Valentine. She's bleeding again from the sole of her shoes, 'cause she's got to carry the weight of the truth. Could you take it easy on me?
13,
Could you take it
14,
easy on me?
15.
I'll keep the time. There's some witty dialogue as well, to be fair, like the Gandhi line, but then you've got the terrible Tamara and that storyline.
Pacey, every piece of literature that you'll read this year will have sex in it. Everything you read last year probably as well.
Yeah, but it's not real sex. I mean, sex is cautionary tale. Sex is a warning. I'm not kidding about this. Every time somebody in one of those books has sex, something bad has to happen to them. Romeo and Juliet, they have sex, next thing you know, they're killing themselves. The Scarlet Letter, Hester Prynne has sex, next thing you know, she's an outcast for life. The, Greek one,
Oedipus?
yes, that one. That guy sleeps with some chick who, granted, is his mother. He's so freaked out by it, he pokes out his own eyes. Okay, that's not real life. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it has been known to happen that every once in a while two people sleep together, they enjoy it, and afterward everything works out fine.
You really think that is possible?
Over on ITV this month, I've been watching one of the most talked about dramas of the year so far, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. So this stars Toby Jones as the title character, and it's the true life story of how a lot of people working for the post office got screwed over of a lot of money and their businesses and livelihood as a result of some faulty technology. But unfortunately the problems went much deeper than that and much more corrupt, so it lifts the lid on that true life story. Personally, I didn't think it was as good a drama as a lot of people. I thought it was quite soapy and cliched and was a little bit too button pushing, but at the end of the day it did lift the lid on a very important case with a big question of why did it take an ITV drama to really put a spotlight on this. It has sent many members of the media into a frenzy, so worth checking out at least. That's on ITVX now for the catch up, and of course I've been doing True Detective Night Country, the 4th season of that anthology series, 2 episodes in, a mixed bag so far. I enjoyed episode 1 a lot more than episode 2, but you can check out my reviews on the channel.
Send this thing back to Anchorage.
Hey, Chief. What's this?
This tattoo was on Annie's body. So what? It's the same case.
No one stops to draw on their own forehead while they're freezing to death. So maybe the killer was out there on the ice with him.
Huh? A killer? Burnt eyeballs, self-inflicted bite wounds? I'm treating this like a murder case. We're gonna crack it, close your case, I close my case. And then that's it for the two of us.
And for a rewatch, I revisited the first season of The Last of Us from HBO. I got my mum the Blu-ray for her birthday recently, so we've been watching that, and it's absolutely fantastic. It holds up just as well as it did a year ago. Fantastic serialized drama, great lead performances and chemistry, and a perfect mix of horror and some tender human drama with great use of music. It really is one of the best things from last year. The Last of Us is on HBO Max now, or Sky's Now TV in the UK. So having finished my Brooklyn Nine-Nine watch through for the first time, love that series, I'm rewatching a comedy, and that is the classic offbeat family dysfunctional comedy of Arrested Development. So I'm early into season 1. It's been a while since I've watched it, and I'm having an absolute hoot. This is one of my favourite all-time comedies. Here's a bit of a flavour of Arrested Development.
You know, I'm in pretty good shape. You could be eating my dust all day, slowpoke.
And Buster was starting to give as good as he got.
And you might be eating that's gonna...
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
She always makes everything about her.
She's the last person I ever want to need something from.
Well, she likes to be needed, just as long as it doesn't cost her anything.
It's like she gets off on being withholding.
Whoa, Buster. Look who's got something to say.
I'm Mom, and I want to shoot down everything you say so I feel good about myself.
Look who's ragging on the old lady.
Hey.
Finally? Because I'm an uptight Buster! You old horny slut!
Well, no one's gonna top that.
Bateman's dry deadpan delivery is so great. And speaking of Fox, I switched from comedy to drama with this really underrated series, The Americans. So this is a rewatch. I've watched this a couple of times all the way through, but it's one of my favourite recent shows. So it's a period thriller. You have Kerry Russell, Matthew Rhys playing Russian spies, that is, who are undercover in the United States during the Cold War era, and they are on the pretense that they're Americans, so they've grown up in America now the last few years, learning the lingo. They've had a family there, so they've got a couple of kids. One's a preteen, one's a teen, and neither of them know that they're parents are really Russian spies, and it goes very deep into the Cold War politics and the conflict between both sides, the Americans and the Russians. We get points of view from both the FBI base and the Russian embassy, as well as the different missions which Elizabeth and oh damn it, I forgot his name now, but the Matthew Rhys character undertake, and it doesn't sugarcoat it about the difficulties of their life and the conflict, because earlier on in the series, Philip expresses that he's maybe more interested in the culture of the United States and actually leaving the spy game and settling down there, whereas Elizabeth is more loyal, it seems, and more set in her ways when it comes to being loyal to Mother Russia. And it's a brilliantly complex series, great use of music, great direction. There's some really tense scenes, but also some choice funny scenes. And as you get further into it, it's 6 series by the way, but really justifies it. It has one of my favourite finales, but you really get more into the family dynamic and some of the issues that they face. Of course, things are complicated by the arrival in their neighbourhood of Stan Beeman, who's an FBI agent, and his move in there, and of course he's in counterintelligence, which complicate things as well. So you see them doing a dance routine, trying maybe to befriend him as a way to get information, but then you get a conflict in loyalties as they do get to know Stan. And it's a series which really gets into all these different complications and gets further into their lives, their family lives, and that being their children's lives as well, and what's going to happen if the children one day find out, and how do they handle that. Anyway, these clips should give you a good feel for the show, but it's one of my favourite shows of the last 10-15 years, The Americans.
Take deep breaths. You tell stories about this guy. He killed a lot of people. You know how guys like him kill people? They plan it for weeks and always come up from behind. Fighting face to face, that's a different story.
I heard once he got in a bar fight with the entire Japanese Olympic judo team. He took out 4 of them before the rest of them ran.
Which year? Because 64 to 72 are pussies. They didn't even medal.
Need to look out your living room window for a few minutes?
He's at the corner.
Immigration, we just want to talk! Don't get too close. What's your corner?
I don't think you understand how unpopular you are. I could deliver you in 100 pieces. They give me a separate medal for each one.
Do we have visitors already?
Yeah, this is Stan.
Hey.
Phil Jennings.
How you doing, Stan Beeman?
My wife, Elizabeth Page Henry.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, Henry.
Hello.
Are those brownies?
Homemade.
Matt? Your mom's a good cook?
Yes.
Okay.
All 6 seasons of The Americans are on Disney Plus now, and I returned to Joshua Jackson with this. I finished this off. If you remember ages ago on the channel, I started reviewing the Fatal Attractions TV show, which is on Paramount Plus, and it turns out it's just a 1-season thing. There's a little bit of a tease at the end, and there could be a second season. It doesn't need to have a second season. I think the very end of the show is just a little bit of a tease where they would have gone if there was a second season. Solid show, nothing really to write home about, but it was definitely much better than a Fatal Attraction TV show had any right to be. They didn't really update some of the dated elements of the film, so that's the one big shame. But overall, they did explore different things from the film in a way, and that's something to be applauded. The casting was solid overall, so not bad. Fatal Attraction TV show, it's on Paramount Plus now. And weekly on Netflix, I've been watching a new anime series which is called Delicious in Dungeons, and it's from a manga which is from the author of The Ring, or Ringu, the Japanese original of that story. Weekly episodes, as I said, they drop every Thursday on Netflix, and so far it's a lot of fun. Great animation, and it makes a pretty queasy subject matter very entertaining. Take a look at this.
本当に俺についてくる意志があるんだな。どんなことがあろうと。食料は迷宮内で自給自足する。はあ？なんか結構うまそうなのがいたはずだ。
無理無理無理、絶対に無理。
ひょっとしなくてもお前、前々から魔物を食べる機会を伺ってただろ。
おえ、サソリ鍋か。しかしそのやり方には感心せんの。できたぞ。
私にもちょうだい。うわ、おいしい。
ダンジョン飯、それは食うか食われるか。そこには上も下もなく、ただひたすらに食は生の特権であった。ダンジョン飯、ああ、ダンジョン飯。
So for something a bit more gritty but edge of your seat, thriller and also satire, I can recommend this Mexican series, Cinerita 89, which is now on its second series, and with it being international, it depends what part of the world you're on. I know it's a Stan original in Australia. Over here the BBC are showing it, BBC4, so you can catch up on iPlayer. And I think there's various ways to see it if you're in the United States. So season 1, it followed the beauty pageant in Mexico, and it really exposed the underbelly of how corrupt and seedy that whole process is. So you've got a character who runs the network which the beauty pageant is set on, and it just shows what power he has within Mexican culture and even having political influence. We also see his sister who's involved, and we followed the various contestants, and it's a really ruthless look at the whole corruption of such a contest and the pressure put on the girls and the various elements, and you followed each contestant and it was packed with lots of twists and turns, a lot of tension, a lot of style as well, but it really got to the heart of the subject matter. So now there's a series 2 which follows on from the events of the first series, but we move into 1990 and we pick up from the fallout of series 1. I don't want to say too much because it would be spoilers to how series 1 ended, but they've brought back all the principal characters and we follow them in very different situations. So far I'm not as keen on series 2 as in series 1, but I'm a couple of episodes in. The point is, I recommend the series as a whole, especially series 1. And I'm going to show you a trailer now for that. But Cinerita 89, it's on the second series now.
Everyone believes that beauty is something you can achieve without any effort. But ask these ladies if that is the case. So if these women look beautiful tonight, it is because they have fought very hard to achieve that. And so that makes all of them true queens.
Ladies, welcome to La Encantada! For the next 3 months, we will be your only line of communication.
You're no good to us here either as a heifer or as a skeleton.
Then just give her enough to keep her functioning for now.
This is the consent form to begin your treatment immediately.
What treatment?
Just a few details, a few things we have to add, a few things we have to remove.
The perfect woman doesn't exist.
That's why I have to create her.
How much are we talking?
I think around 8 million is more realistic.
She is a bit flat.
It's been years since we had one like that.
No, we've never had one.
I know what happens in that place. I've been there too.
Because by now you know you're being watched everywhere you go, sweet ladies.
If I can't handle 2 little girls, I should probably lose my job.
We've come to have fun.
Just look. They're all looking for a crown.
Do you really think that the beauty pageants serve a purpose?
There are lives at stake.
Mexico's expecting paradise. Let's go and show them all what hell this really is.
And I've not started this yet, but hopefully by the time you get this, I should have a review up of the first 2 episodes of Expats, the new Amazon Prime series starring Nicole Kidman and from the writer and director of the critically acclaimed movie Farewell. It was one of my shows to watch for 2024. The first 2 episodes are streaming now on Amazon and then they come out every Friday.
I just sometimes want to be alone. Where I'm not somebody's wife, not somebody's mother. Where I'm not defined by tragedy. Don't you ever miss it? Home?
I like our life here. The help, the drivers, it makes everything easier.
I see his family.
You know you always say that, right? You're her employer, not her friend.
You know, Hong Kong was supposed to be a fresh start for me.
A fresh start, really? At 24?
I think my marriage is over.
Has David been home?
No, ma'am.
What am I still doing here?
Do you ever imagine yourself living a completely different life? You're just watching them every second, even when your eyes are closed. And I have no idea how it happened. No one should ever have to go through what you're going through.
I think we need to think about getting out of here. Because we're drowning and you don't see it.
The minute our feet leave Hong Kong soil, we are abandoning our son. Why is she here?
Alam nating lahat ang tungkol sa employer natin. Mga sekreto na kahit pinakamalapit na kaibigan niya ay hindi alam.
Not a moment goes by where I'm not thinking about what I've done. People like me, do they ever move on?
You're not betraying anyone by trying to live a better life. We all need to keep living. Even you.
And moving on to some of the films I've been watching this month. So a rewatch on my New Year's stream, a fun family movie, a charming family movie, the classic Big starring Tom Hanks and the underrated Elizabeth Perkins. And this is a great concept of a movie, and a movie like they just don't make anymore. Like I said, it's very charming, it always moves me, very funny movie as well, nice supporting cast. It holds up just as well as it did in 1988, and it's oddly scary in bits.
Drop 25 cents here. Come on. Work! Make my wish right. I wish I were big. Your wish is granted.
Next up, a fun slice of nostalgic retro superhero cartoon action. There was a TV series as well, Defenders of the Earth, the story begins, or the saga begins. Pulpy fun to be had. Imagine what the Avengers movies could have been if it was like this. Basically, this one is like 3 episodes squeezed into one movie, pretty much. Fun to be had. Take a look.
Defenders of the Earth. Defenders. Out of the sky, his rockets ignite. Jets into battle, flying faster than light. Flash Gordon. Lord of the jungle, the hero who stalks. The beasts call him brother, the goes to war. Defenders of the Earth. Defenders. Master of magic spells and illusion. Enemies crumble in fear and confusion. Mandrake. Defenders of the Earth. Defenders. His strength is a legend. His skills conquer all. Armed with his power, we never will fall. No. Defenders of the Earth. Defenders. With our new young heroes proving their worth. 4 become 8. Defending the Earth. Defenders of the Earth. Defenders.
My first cinema trip of the year was to the new Blumhouse horror movie Night Swim. You can find my spoiler-free thoughts already on the channel. Basically, it felt like a January horror movie. It had a fun premise about a haunted swimming pool which this family inherit, and there's a whole backstory. But in the end, it proved to be a really dull movie to sit through. Wyatt Russell hamming it up was probably the highlight of the movie, but overall, a bit of a dud. Wait for streaming. If Night Swim put me to sleep almost, Cyborg woke me back up. This glorious slice of hammy, pulpy, sci-fi B-movie action thrills starring Jean-Claude Van Damme himself as a guy whose family is kidnapped and his wife murdered in the past or something like that in a post-apocalyptic world. He has to go through a series of mercenaries dressed as Mad Max B villains to try and get revenge. It's a glorious mess. It's really entertaining and spectacular to look at. Thrilling 80s style synth music. It's a lot of fun. It does drag at times, but I'd recommend it if you're into these sort of dumb, cheesy, but really stylish B-action movies. Van Damme's a decent lead. The villain is very memorable. It's a shame he's not in the movie more. But I'd recommend Cyborg, which you can find on Prime UK.
Welcome to the world of the not-too-distant future.
Get going! Go!
A brutal gang is reshaping the world into their own vision of hell. And only one man can stop them. Jean-Claude Van Damme is leading the battle between good and evil.
Take him out.
As it's never been fought before. He's on a desperate mission to rescue a cyborg who holds the secret for saving the world.
Why did you help me?
I don't want to see you die.
From the dust of destruction rises the warrior of a new age.
Say goodbye, my friend.
Jean-Claude Van Damme has become the first hero of the 21st century. Cyborg.
A first-time watch also for me was this early Peter Bogdanovich movie, Nickelodeon, a film which was slated by critics at the time. It's a nostalgic look at the early days of cinema and the studio system, and it stars the likes of Ryan O'Neal, a young Burt Reynolds, Tatum O'Neal, Brian Keith, a young John Ritter, always good to see him pop up, and Commandant Lassard himself from the Police Academy movies. Overall, it's a very hit and miss comedy. So Peter Bogdanovich also did The Last Picture Show, amongst other things, and I'm glad I checked this one out at least. Worth a look.
All right, Frank. Crank.
Cranking.
We're going to make pictures.
Pioneer filmmakers waged a fierce battle for survival.
New horizons, Dan! All the arrogance of youth!
What they may have lacked in skill and experience, they made up for in wild enthusiasm.
Watch out!
Help! My God, it's her!
Where am I? Grab her, Jack!
That's what Nickelodeon is all about.
There's a train coming!
What?
I can beat the train!
Don't beat the train, Alice!
Beat it!
Don't beat it!
I can't!
Ryan O'Neal, Burt Reynolds, Tatum O'Neal, Brian Keith, Stella Stevens, John Ritter, and Jane Hitchcock.
And camera!
Peter Bogdanovich's Nickelodeon.
What would happen if Buck came home now?
Why? Nothing happened.
Well, here I am in his house, in his robe, on his bed with his wife. No jury in the world would convict him if he shot me.
Movie pictures! Trum, 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 bang, bang!
Man killed a boss. Why can't I get writers to think like that?
God, this is humiliating. Hey, look, take it easy. It's real simple. You'll have no problem. I won't? Hell no, any jerk can direct.
The balloon will cost you $50 for the day.
Give you 30.
I said 50, little girl.
Give you 25.
I said 50.
Give you 20.
You just said 25.
That's the deal.
What's the plot? Why is that girl in a silly Dutch costume?
Let me call you
That ain't funny. Sure it is. It ain't funny.
Let me hear you whisper that you love me.
Look at you. You look ridiculous. I know I look ridiculous. I look like a twit. Cut. That's it.
And jumping back to the silent era now, I checked out this early Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Marksman. My friend does monthly silent movie screenings, so I checked this one out. And it's a solid early Hitchcock movie. It's a drama involving basically a love triangle. The ending is very funny. It's almost like a product of the time where a woman is put on trial because she attempts to commit suicide. And there's this whole thing about who ends up getting access to the baby, and people watching the film with me really were divided on the ending and who was the real villain of the movie. That caused a discussion, but it's definitely worth checking out. It's a good movie, I'd say. It just has a bit of a funny ending, and a bit of the gender politics are a bit dated for me.
Maybe at the Buster Keaton Festival, playing on State Street all this weekend.
I think it might be time to see a little more.
Keaton is key.
I don't know if I agree with the annoying dimwit Scott Hope about Keaton being key, but alongside the Hitchcock movie, I did check out this Buster Keaton short, Sherlock Jr., which is pretty decent fun and a nice come down from the darker Hitchcock stuff. This year on my channel we will be doing a bunch of 1984 movies because it is 40 years, and we're kicking it off with A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, which of course will give us an excuse to do the whole franchise, so a review is on the way. It's a horror classic, I don't really need to say much more, but here's a clip showing just why it's a classic.
Somebody there?
Tina. Tina.
Who the hell is that? Please, God.
This is God. Watch this.
Open the door! Get
Also this month I watched a random Star Trek movie, which was Star Trek Generations from '94. I think I'd seen this before, but if I had, it's been a long time, so I needed a refresher. This is the first film with the Next Generation crew, so it's used as a bit of a passing of the torch between the original crew and that crew. In the 23rd century, the Starship Enterprise is dispatched to the scene of a giant energy field about to engulf two ships. Captain Kirk averts calamity, but is exposed to the field and presumed dead. Years later, the Enterprise's new commander, Captain Picard, learns that one of the disastrous survivors, Dr. Saron, played by Malcolm McDowell, plans to enter the field by destroying a neighbouring star, Picard now must collaborate with an unlikely ally in order to stop him. So this was a really fun movie, a really at times dark but also entertaining movie. Malcolm McDowell is very good as the villain. He has some fun hammy moments. There's one or two moments early on which I weren't so keen on. The Data stuff I think was a bit overplayed and got a bit annoying with him exploring his humanity. That wasn't the best stuff, and it takes a bit of setup to the movie, but it does a satisfying job of bringing together the two crews, bringing together the new era of Star Trek in the movies. And I think really it's a nice little send off to the old crew as well, sort of a passing of the torch as well. And the ending really surprised me. I mean, if I had seen the movie, I'd forgotten that it has the ending it does, so it really surprised me. But to see Picard and Shatner working together was a lot of fun. It's a good sci-fi concept, some pretty good effects on screen, and yeah, Star Trek Generations. I'd recommend checking it out if you haven't seen this one. I may well do all these films in the future on the channel, but for now I'll say I'll give this one about a 7.5.
You know, maybe this isn't about an empty house. Maybe it's about that empty chair on the bridge of the Enterprise. Ever since I left Starfleet.
Recently, I'd become very much aware that there were fewer days ahead than there are behind.
They say time is the fire in which we burn.
We think that Soren has developed a weapon.
I'm not stopping.
A terrible weapon.
Soren doesn't care about weapons or power. He just cares about getting back to the Nexus. It's a doorway. If you go, you're not gonna care about anything. Not the ship, not Soren. All you'll want is to stay in the Nexus. And you're not gonna want to come back.
Now you'll have to excuse me, Captain. I have an appointment with Eternity, and I don't want to lose.
I need help.
I'm going hunting. I'm the hunter.
Overrated. 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 That would be my short review of Poor Things, which I saw at the cinema this month, and I think is overrated. I don't get all the hype personally. I think I might do a review at some point, but it's the new film from the director of The Favourite, Lobster, and he did an underrated movie called Dogtooth in his native language earlier in his career, which I'd recommend. So it stars Emma Stone, who has been Oscar nominated, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe and Remy the Sith. And it's about Bella Baxter, a young woman in Victorian London who is resurrected by a scientist following her suicide and embarks on the odyssey of self-discovery. And that last bit probably sums up my problem with the movie. It comes from a 1992 novel. So to sum up my thoughts really quickly, I just thought it was a bit up its own arse and pretentious. I think it's one of those movies that ends up being weird just for the sake of being weird rather because it needs to be and it's natural, and it has a bit of a trippy, weird Frankenstein subversion feel to the story. But overall, I just thought after a while it really dragged. After the first 20 minutes, half an hour, which I was kind of into, it just dragged after that. Emma Stone, who I think will win the Oscar, I know she won the Golden Globe. I like her as an actress. I like her in pretty much everything she does, but this isn't her best role or performance. I think it's been a bit overpraised. I'm not really a massive fan of Poor Things. That's my hot take for the month.
I am Bella Baxter. I'm a flawed, experimenting person. I seek outings and adventures. Bella's so much to discover.
You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
I am finding being alive fascinating.
Bella.
Why I keep it in my mouth if it is revolting? I must go punch that baby.
We must experience everything, not just the good, but degradation.
Shall we sing?
Horror. Sadness.
Bella!
Then we can know the world. And when we know the world, the world is ours.
No more. Anymore's too much.
And finally, in January, I caught up with One Missed Call, the original Japanese movie from 2003, which Lady Sasha recommended on another episode of What We've Been Watching Thingy. So it's from Takashi Miike, who also did Audition and has done a shitload of movies based on a novel. And the plot involves Yumi Nakamura, a young psychology student whose friend Ryoko gets a strange voice message on her cell phone. When Yumi receives a call with a date and time of her death, she struggles to save herself and learn the truth behind the calls. So this, of course, was one of the big J horror movies in that movement from the late 90s, early 2000s, but also compared to some movies from that subgenre like The Ring, like Dark Water, I guess you would say The Grudge, it probably gets overlooked as well. I watched it on stream and it's a really, really strong movie. Great direction, great plotting. It's nicely paced. It's got a good original concept, especially for the time. It was one of the early films to really tap into the way a horror movie can use like social media or use technology, in this case like a phone, and how that can lead to a really fun riddle type plot and create lots of suspense. The horror direction is very strong and stylish. It has some truly unnerving and creepy moments, and it does that thing of, because the big set pieces are quite spaced out, it means that they mean a lot more. But basically, like something like The Ring, the movie works so well because you get into the characters, like you get some time to get to know the characters and build like a relationship and a story behind them. So that's what makes it work, is because when bad shit starts going down and they're in peril, you actually care about the characters. Like I said, it's easy now to look at it when we've had so much of this kind of horror. There are some tropes that stand out, but to be fair, because this is 2003, it was one of the early ones to do those tropes. It may well have been the first one to really do them, so you can't hold that against the movie. It's just that it's been copied a lot since. It does get a little bit messy at times, but overall I think it's a really satisfying horror movie with some good thrills and spills, and it really goes to dark places. It's not afraid to go to really dark and extreme places in times. It's quite trippy at times too, which I liked. So One Missed Call, I definitely recommend. So I ended the month on a high, and it's a movie me and Rachel will do in the future without doubt. but I'm going to leave you with a trailer for the original One Missed Call. Thanks for listening, guys. Let me know what you've been watching over the last month, and look out for another one of these coming later in February.
これ私の携帯番号なんだけど。
やっぱり殺されたんだよ。
殺されたってどういうこと？
殺した子の携帯のメモリーの中から次の犠牲者選んで次々と殺し続けていくって。
世の中の全ての出来事にはからくりがある。説明ができない事件なんてないんだよ。どうなっちゃってんだ。
どうして携帯を通じてきちゃうんだって。携帯を通じてきちゃうんだって。携帯を通じてきちゃうんだって。携帯を通じてきちゃうんだって。
止まれ止まれ。
着信あり。
And I'm back, and how could I forget I also saw the new Mean Girls this month, Mean Girls 2024, based on the stage musical, so it is a musical, although the trailer does hide that quite well. Tina Fey comes back to write it, and we get a bunch of the original cast, but a load of newbies as well. John Hamm is like great casting as the gym teacher, and we also get a whole host of fresh faces in the lead roles. And I've got to say, it's about as good and as entertaining as a new version of Mean Girls could be. It was never going to be as good as the original 2004 movie, but I had a decent time. I mean, I think for a basic mainstream movie, it works pretty well. It ticks the boxes, it passes the time, and I'm just going to say I preferred it to Poor Things because it has no pretensions over what it is. There's some decent gags. The songs are hit and miss. Some are more catchy than others, but I think they're songs that reflect a certain sound that feel in tune with the current time. The song at the Halloween party probably being my standout. So they obviously update things like the social media stuff, but overall I think they got the casting pretty spot on, pretty good. Not that it was as good as the original, but I think the lead I like, and also the Regina George, the casting for that character, I think they really nailed. I think that actress has a lot of presence and really good comic timing, and I think probably has a good career ahead of us. So Mean Girls 2024, I'm not saying it's anything to write home about, but it's a solid fun watch.